Sometimes life brings such amazing events that even the most skeptical people can't remain indifferent. This incredible story, which happened on November 13, 1961, definitely falls into this category. That day, around noon, the crew of the oil tanker Gulf Lion spotted a lonely lifeboat at sea with a person desperately signaling for help. The man in the boat was calling for assistance, shouting, "Help, I have a deceased child with me in the boat." The tanker crew, discovering the man and the body of a little girl in the lifeboat, immediately organized a rescue operation. The rescued person turned out to be 44-year-old retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Julian Harvey. In maritime circles, he was known as an experienced amateur yachtsman with many sea voyages under his belt. However, even his considerable experience couldn't withstand the raging elements. The day before, on November 12, 1961, a yacht called Bluebell departed from the Bahamas headed for Miami under his command. On board were his wife Mary and the family of his friend, 40-year-old ophthalmologist Arthur Duperreau. Traveling with Arthur were his wife Jean and their 3 children, 14-year-old Brian, 11-year-old Terry Jo, and 7-year-old Renee. The family was returning to the USA after a short vacation. The peaceful voyage was interrupted by a sudden storm that hit the yacht. The weather conditions were so severe that the mainmast couldn't hold, after which the vessel capsized. Once Julian found himself in the water, he faced a terrifying sight. None of the yacht's passengers were visible. Through the noise of the waves, he could hear desperate women's screams, but the complete darkness hid their source. His military training and excellent physical condition helped Harvey not only stay afloat but also reach the lifeboat. Climbing into it, he found little Renee. Despite all attempts to save the girl, she had already passed away. Julian spent the next 12 hours in a small wooden boat, drifting in the middle of the ocean, until luck smiled on him. A passing tanker noticed his distress signals. For days after this miraculous rescue, while in Miami, Harvey received a call from local authorities to clarify the circumstances of the vessel's wreck. At that moment, he couldn't imagine what surprising news awaited him. During the conversation, an officer told Harvey an amazing fact. The day before, another person from the sunken yacht had been rescued. Hearing this news, Julian exclaimed, "My God, isn't that a miracle?" After answering additional questions, he left the station. 4 hours later, Julian Harvey's body was found in a room at the Sandman Hotel. Now we need to find out who else survived the shipwreck and what led to Julian Harvey's death. Arthur Duperreau had a long-time dream, to travel through tropical seas. Looking at the cold waters of Lake Michigan, this ophthalmologist from Green Bay often remembered the warm southern seas he had visited during the Second World War. Arthur was excited about sea voyages and dreamed of spending a whole year exploring the ocean on a yacht. By the early 60s, his medical practice had become profitable enough to at least partially make this dream come true. In 1961, the Duperreau family decided to swap their usual winter in Green Bay for a sea adventure in the Bahamas. They planned a week-long sea trip on a rented vessel. Arriving in Miami on November 6, 1961, Arthur rented a yacht called Bluebell. By happy coincidence, his old acquaintance Julian Harvey, an experienced sailor, was in town. The natural decision was to offer Julian the helm, which he readily accepted. Mary, Julian's wife, joined the group of travelers. Bluebell set sail early in the morning on November 8, 1961, with the steady hum of the engine and favorable wind filling the sails. Captain Harvey set course for the Bahamas. Ahead stretched endless seas and dozens of archipelago islands bathed in tropical sunshine. The next 4 days were filled with vacation joys. The crew went snorkeling, collected sea treasures on pristine white beaches, and enjoyed the warmth of the Caribbean sun. For the young Duperreaus, this journey was a true revelation. Their acquaintance with the sea was limited to posters in their father's office, but now they could not only admire it but also dive into its warm waters. On the evening of November 12, the Bluebell crew left the hospitable Bahamas, setting a return course to Miami. The vacation was coming to an end, and it was time to head home. No one could have predicted that this night would be the last for the yacht and most of its passengers. If you enjoyed this video, Please support my channel by subscribing and hit the bell icon to never miss my next video. The events continued to unfold in unexpected ways. As we know, the next morning a tanker picked up Julian Harvey, who was drifting alone in a small boat. In his report to the Coast Guard, he mentioned a strong night storm and the loss of all other crew members. However, on November 16th, it turned out his information was inaccurate. That day, the crew of a Greek vessel, about 200 kilometers from Miami, noticed something they initially thought was just floating debris. Upon closer inspection, the sailors saw a white cork raft with a small girl in pink clothes holding onto it. Her skin was severely burned by the tropical sun, and she was near exhaustion. After being brought aboard, she barely whispered, "I'm Terry Jo Duperreault." The captain immediately contacted the Coast Guard, and a rescue helicopter was sent for the girl. 3 hours later, Terry Jo, suffering from severe sunburn, arrived at a Miami hospital. Her condition was so serious that Coast Guard representatives couldn't conduct a proper interview. Only on November 20th, after 4 days of intensive treatment, was the girl able to share her memories of the fatal night of the shipwreck. By that time, Julian Harvey was already gone, but we'll discuss the circumstances of his passing later. On the evening of November 12th, the yacht Bluebell set course for Miami. Around 9 o'clock, Terry Jo went down to her small cabin below deck. Normally, she shared this space with her younger sister Renee, but that evening Renee decided to stay with her parents and brother in the cabin on deck. Terry Jo quickly fell asleep but was soon awakened by her brother's alarming cries. "Help! Daddy!" These desperate cries from her brother pierced the night silence. Then came the sound of running feet and some struggle. After that, everything went quiet. Terry Jo lay in bed, frozen with fear and confusion. After about 5 minutes, she gathered her courage and carefully left the cabin. What she saw on deck was forever etched in her memory, her mom and brother lying motionless in a pool of red. Despite her young age, she instantly understood the terrible truth: they were gone. Next to the bodies, she noticed a stained knife. Suddenly Julian Harvey appeared. Pushing the girl roughly, he commanded, "Get back to your cabin." With a pounding heart, Terry Jo looked away from the horrifying scene and hurriedly returned to her bunk. Soon she heard an unusually loud splash of water and suddenly felt liquid seeping into the cabin. Realizing the boat was taking on water, she froze with fear, unable to move. Unexpectedly, a massive shadow appeared in the doorway. It was Julian Harvey. He held something in his hands, possibly her father's hunting rifle. He stood silently, staring intently at the girl. In the room, only his heavy breathing, the loud beats of her heart, and the ominous splash of rising water could be heard. Then the captain turned and disappeared, his footsteps echoing on the stairs leading to the upper deck. Terry Jo knew she needed to escape from the flooding cabin. Gathering all her courage, she went upstairs. By the starboard side, she noticed a lifeboat. "The ship is sinking," she said in a trembling voice, looking at Harvey. "Exactly," he snapped back. Before Terry Jo's eyes, the boat slowly moved away from the sinking Bluebell. Harvey jumped into the water, and the girl watched as he swam toward the lifeboat, gradually disappearing into the darkness of night. Left completely alone on a sinking boat in the middle of the ocean, Terry Jo faced a situation that could break even an adult, let alone an 11-year-old girl. In this critical moment, she remembered the cork life-saving device her father had once shown her. It was something between a raft and a life ring, a pretty basic gadget, but now it represented her only chance for survival. The girl decisively jumped into the water and climbed onto the cork raft. Soon the yacht completely disappeared under the water, leaving Terry Jo alone with the endless ocean. She wore only a light shirt and short pants, clothes not at all suitable for the open sea. The night seemed endless and freezing, so she welcomed the first rays of sun with relief. However, the joy was short-lived. Soon the temperature rose to 95 degrees, turning the blazing sun into a new enemy. Without water, food, or any protection, on a fragile raft that barely stayed afloat, Terry Jo spent agonizing hours. Her thoughts constantly returned to her father. She knew about the terrible fate of her mother and brother, but her father's situation remained a mystery. She held on to hope that he might have survived and would soon find a way to rescue her. Monday passed with these thoughts. On Tuesday, a small red airplane appeared in the sky. Terry Jo desperately waved her shirt, trying to attract attention. The plane descended and flew right over her, so close that she could make out details of its structure. However, the angle of flight was such that the pilots couldn't spot the tiny figure in the ocean. Watching the plane fly away, the girl experienced a depth of despair that's hard to even imagine. By mid-Tuesday, Terry Jo's thoughts drifted to the peaceful forests and clear lakes of her hometown Green Bay. These places now seemed so unreachable, like they were from another life. Gradually, the girl's mind became foggy, and she fell asleep. In her dreams, she met her father and heard his familiar voice. The sadness of realizing it was just a dream pierced her heart. By Wednesday, dehydration had so depleted her body that reality began to distort. In her haze, she imagined an emerald patch of land that she desperately tried to reach, but the vision vanished like a mirage. All day she unsuccessfully searched for it again, until exhaustion took over. She didn't feel Thursday's dawn. The burning rays didn't disturb her unconscious body, balanced between life and death. The faint life in her was ready to fade when a majestic silhouette appeared on the horizon. At first, she thought it was a giant whale, but it turned out to be a Greek ship, her salvation. During the investigation, Julian Harvey pretended to be genuinely happy when he learned about Terry Jo Duperreau's rescue. However, his feelings were fake. He knew he was facing life imprisonment. He checked into a hotel under a false name, where he caused fatal self-harm to his leg and throat. His last note read, "I am very nervous and cannot continue any longer." Obviously, he foresaw the inevitability of facing consequences for what he had done. What pushed him to such actions? Julian Harvey's biography is rather sparse on details. It's only known that at 24, he joined the Army Air Corps and was a bomber pilot during the Second World War. During his military service, Harvey earned 12 medals before retiring in 1958. His personal life was quite eventful. He had been married 6 times. Suspiciously, one of his wives passed away in an accident, after which Harvey received a large insurance payment. Investigators believe that on his final voyage, he planned to get rid of his current wife to collect insurance money. It remains unknown whether Harvey planned what happened to the Duperreau family beforehand or if it was a sudden decision. On that fateful night of November 12, he took the lives of 5 people and sank the vessel. He apparently chose to spare 11-year-old Terry Jo, thinking the open sea would claim her life. Though his calculations seemed logical, a child's chances of survival in the Caribbean waters were minimal. Fate had other plans. Terry Jo spent 11 days recovering in the hospital. While her physical health returned completely, the emotional scars ran much deeper. She needed years of therapy to heal. Fortunately, her aunt and grandmother took her in. Later, she built her own family and became a mother to 3 children. In 2010, she published a book about that life-changing night. For a long time, she struggled to accept her father's passing since she hadn't witnessed it. Only after 2 decades could Terry Jo finally find peace regarding her father's loss. Her story is truly remarkable. It's hard to imagine what this 11-year-old girl endured during those 5 terrifying days. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you didn't, feel free to give it a dislike. Make sure to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.